Hi! This time I wanted to talk about a certain exercise that you can perform to improve the way that you play role-playing games. I think that there are many that probably engage in a similar activity, perhaps by accident or by intention. It's basically getting into a mindset where you view every activity in your life as a role-playing game, as a sort of simulation. I have mentioned this in another video, I don't remember which one, but I said that one of the benefits of role-playing games, of tabletop role-playing games, is that you are quite skilled when it comes to creating models, projecting models of possible outcomes. You carry out that simulation in your mind before attempting things. So in this video, I am going to tell you how I engage into that exercise, that mental activity. And I am also going to tell you how you can use this to run adventure modules or scenarios, that is pre-written or pre-generated modules or scenarios. When it comes to this exercise, I think I will call it the Creative Roleplay Mindset. The Creative Roleplay Mindset. You're basically going to be looking at every activity in your life as if it were a role-playing game and attempting to describe that situation as you would in a tabletop role-playing game. There is more to this than that. It's not as shallow or superficial. But first, let's take on the basics of this exercise. So maybe you go to work and you carry out your activities, that's it. But try to look at it from a role-play angle. As the game master. After driving through heavy traffic, you arrive at your office. When you enter the building, there is this smell of cologne or some sort of perfume. Somebody has been using too much, obviously. You can see that everything is normal, the desks, the chairs, they are all arranged in a common way, natural way, when compared to some other more hectic occasions. Now you proceed to carry out your everyday activities. So you see, that's a sort of description that you can enact, that you can paint, and it gets the day a bit more interesting, not as boring, because when you play a tabletop role-playing game, you can take that description and modify it, tweak it, adapt it to the setting, the sort of game that you are playing. You can also take a look at it from the player's perspective. I walk to my computer, I sit down, I turn it on with the intention of checking my emails. And then you can think about the game master's response to that. You turn on the computer and you get to the password screen. You enter your password and wait, this is not working. It is not accepting your password. Somebody has changed the password. What is going on? And now the player character, you can, oh, well, I'm going to talk to my supervisor, I'm going to ask my colleague or my friend, and that's how gameplay proceeds. But because of this, you can identify 3 layers of details. The more superficial layer, this is what you want to describe or narrate to your player characters as a game master, or as a player as well, depending on your description. This is what you first encounter when you enter a room or when you enter the scene. It doesn't matter the place, these are the superficial details. In the case of this office environment, the smell of the cologne or perfume, the chairs, the desk, that's it, that's the first thing that you perceive. But there is a second layer that can only be discovered or uncovered as you interact with the environment, like turning on the computer and now you know that you need a password. And there is the third layer that requires greater scrutiny, more specific actions on the part of the player characters, like finding out the new password, discovering why they changed the password perhaps. So you have these 3 layers, and I think that a lot of people that have trouble using adventure modules, they do not have this understanding. I'm going to be using Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition module for this, one of the best, I would say, Curse of Strahd. Some players, I think you can see the divide here. When some players say that it is a great module, I actually think that it is a great module despite some political agenda placed there. Like you have this order with a couple of gay paladins. You know how they want to push their politics, use virtue signaling. If the character is crucial to the story and you want to create such a character, that's perfect. In the Forgotten, what's the name of this game? The Free League RPG, Forgotten Realms. No, it's not Forgotten Realms. Well, you know which one, the Forgotten something. I can't believe I forgot the title. There's this long campaign where you have a character that is central, vital to the campaign, and you cannot really say that he is a she or she is a he, or the gender is quite ambiguous, it's quite fluid, but it is central to the adventure. That's great. But here they force that a couple of gay paladins. And that's not in the original module, the original Castle Ravenloft adventure. So it feels forced. You know that these people are constantly pushing their agenda. They do not care about humanity in general. You can see at the movie poster for the one of the 3 newer Star Wars films, they have this black character. I don't remember the name because I didn't watch those aberrant films. Flynn, right? I think he was Flynn. And in the poster here in the West, you have him in full size. And when they promoted the movie in China, they basically made him as small as possible. And the Black Panther film, in the original poster, you see the face of the actor. When they took that to China, the actor has his face covered with the Black Panther mask. That's ridiculous. You know why they are doing it. So those companies, they don't care about those people. They don't care about any group. They don't care about Mexicans like me. They don't care about people from the US. They don't care about Africans. They don't care about anyone. And the ethnicities and groups and subgroups, the cultures, they just want to make money. So they are very dishonest. And in this case, like I said, this couple of gay paladins, I don't remember them from the original adventure, and I don't know why they would put them here, since it's not crucial to their particular process or MacGuffin. They could have been friends, brothers, cousins. No, they have to be gay. So it's an insult for everyone. That's why people from all over the world and from all sorts of preferences and such, they are coming together with the current Peter Pan and Wendy fiasco and this horrible Scooby-Doo production, Velma. People are coming together and fighting against this awfulness. But okay, moving on to the adventure modules. Despite that, the Curse of Strahd is a really good module. Players have mixed opinions about it because some players actually know how to play role-playing games and they know how to use the module. But others think that this module is going to do everything for them. They run the encounters as if they were video games. Your typical video game that you move your character and the computer starts to roll dice for you. You cannot be creative about anything in combat or using your skills. So it's a very awful way in which they play this module. But like I said, it's a really good one. So I'm going to give you an example of someone that doesn't know how to use modules. Or at least I would say that you can use modules however you like, but I would say that this is the correct way of doing so. But before we get to the correct way, I am going to show you the incorrect way, although there are some correct nuances to the way that I am going to be reading this text. Because let's say that you purchase this module and you think, oh, I can run this module without preparation. I'm going to take all of the ideas of this author and I'm going to run them as they are presented. Now, when it comes to running adventure modules, they provide all sorts of ideas, guidelines, structure, but that's it. You need to personalize the module to your own style. But like I said, I am now playing the part of someone who wants to read the adventure. There are some modules that allow you to do that, to run the adventure immediately as presented, but this is not the case, especially in these complex sandbox scenarios or campaigns. To a party of seasoned adventurers such as yourselves, what you see is but another dull tavern in another dull town, in some nameless province. It is but another span of time between the challenges of true adventuring. Outside the tavern, a fog lies over the town this evening. The damp, cobbled pavement glistens as the lights of street lanterns dance across the slick stones. The fog chills the bones and shivers the soul of anyone outside. Yet inside these tavern walls the food is hearty, and the ale is warm and frothy. A fire blazes in the hearth, and the tavern is alive with the tumbling voices of country folk. Suddenly the tavern door swings open, and a hush falls over the room. Framed by the lamp-lit fog, a form strides through the doorway. His heavy-booted footfalls and the jingle of his coins shatter the silence. His brightly colored clothes are draped in loose folds about him, and his hat hangs askew, hiding his eyes in shadows. Without hesitation, he walks up to your table and stands proudly in a wide stance with folded arms. In an accented voice, he says, "I have been sent to you to deliver this message. If you be creatures of honor, you will come to my master's aid at first light. It is not advisable to travel these Valich woods at night." He pulls from his tunic a sealed letter, addressed to all of you in beautiful flowing script. He drops the letter on the table. "Take the west road from here, some 5 hours' march down through the Svalich woods. There you will find my master in Varovia." Amid the silent stares of the patronage, the gypsy strides to the bar and says to the wary barkeep, "Fill the glasses, one and all. Their throats are obviously parched." He drops a purse heavy with gold on the bar. With that, he leaves. The babble of tavern voices resumes, although somewhat subdued. The letter is lying before you. The seal is in the shape of a crest you don't recognize. So there are several errors when it comes to running the scene like this here. As you can see, you are taking your player characters in a theme park ride. You are not giving them any chance at all at reacting to this. You're just telling them that, oh, this is the scene, this is what your characters are feeling or experiencing. Oh, this guy enters and then he talks to you and he drops this letter and then he drops this gold. And you see, this is a terrible, awful way of running a tabletop role-playing game. But later after that, it says here. Oh, sorry. Oh, I got the microphone. Oh, sorry. Okay, here we go. The characters can interrupt the messenger at any time. If the characters ask for details about Barovia or anything, the character describes Barovia as a valley of great beauty and his master as a remarkable man, etc. So what you need to do, let me adjust the microphone, I think. Okay. What you need to do in order to run this scene properly is to identify those 3 layers. Take the superficial layer, with the characters, what they are experiencing, not what they are feeling or thinking. No, this is another dull day at the tavern, a common day at the tavern, a Monday day at the tavern. You can describe it or frame it however you like. I think the description about the streets being moist or glistening with the lights and all of that, I think that's good. But when the character enters the scene, the non-player character goes through the door frame, you should make a small pause. The player characters should always be able to interrupt the game master in his description or the dungeon master in his or her description. Of course, you want to wait a little bit to see if there is more information. You can act whenever you want, but understand that there are consequences. If this non-player character is entering the tavern and you think that it is an enemy, if you suddenly, I pull out my crossbow and shoot a bolt at him. Maybe you killed the non-player character and he was vital and now the law is after you. Maybe he was actually a decent character, or maybe he is in cahoots or allied or belongs to a faction. Now you're in danger, in trouble with that particular group or faction. So there is always that excitement, that risk. Should I act now? Should I wait for more details? Or maybe I need to act now, fast. Or maybe you want to be a bit more cautious. You want to pull out a knife or your hand crossbow under the table, just in case. You know, maybe they asked for weapons at the entrance of the tavern and you gave them most of your weapons, but you have some hidden weapons on you. This is a must, in my opinion. Have some hidden weapons. Or maybe you are a monk and you know your martial arts. So you can get ready in case there is danger when that non-player character approaches the table. Then you can narrate. This is the second layer part. When the non-player character starts to inquire about the characters if they want to participate in this mission, if they accept the invitation from his master, anything related to the conversation. Then that's the second layer. That's when the player characters talk to the non-player characters. They can ask anything about the Barovia, his master. Are there some additional rewards? Or wait, let me read the letter. Let me go through the letter. Many things could happen. And the third layer that can only be unraveled or uncovered through perhaps the use of skills. Maybe you are suspicious of this non-player character. So you start to ask the non-player character some very important, tricky and precise questions to see if you can gain more information about this particular mission. Maybe you need to make some skill rolls or skill checks for that. Maybe it's an automatic success because your questions were quite precise. So it could be handled through roleplay, through skill rolls, and that's the way how you use adventure modules. Don't take your players on a theme park ride. Read the flavor text or the description, the text box of each encounter, of each scene, of each room. If you can memorize things, if you can't memorize things, just read the necessary information. Make those pauses. You don't need to say what do you do because the player characters are always allowed to act whenever they please. So I hope this was useful. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. And if you haven't been playing properly, if you haven't been role playing properly, think about if it's a technical fault on your side, or maybe you have never played an actual role-playing game before. You have been having a mother may I conversation. In other cases, it's an error on the part of the player or the game master. If the game master or the player doesn't properly narrate or describe the actions of the player characters or non-player characters, that's probably some fault that you need to correct outside of the game. If you're a game master and you're not giving proper descriptions, if you are saying something like, there are 2 tunnels in this room, they lead outside of the room. No, that's terrible. There is a tunnel located on the east wall. There is a vertical shaft leading upwards. It is too dark to know where it leads to. Give as much detail as possible. If you are a player, describe your actions properly. No, maybe you are playing an Oriental fantasy. Don't say, I attack the Oni. No, I step forward with a series of diagonal slashes with my katana. And if it's a complex game system using many maneuvers, special abilities, at the end you can add, I am using Flurry of the Tiger. It's as simple as that. If the game master or player is constantly slurring his words, you don't understand, tell the game master or the player, could you articulate your words better, please? Take your time. Nobody is rushing you. Or maybe the game master is speaking too fast, it's going too fast, you don't know what... Too fast. Tell the game master or the player, hey, slow down, please. We cannot understand you, or I cannot understand you. Please slow down. As simple as that. And hopefully you won't be playing with a malicious game master or player that is misleading everyone with vague descriptions to prove a point. Because there are sociopaths, they look at tabletop role-playing games as some sort of competition or a way to prove a point, that's a toxic game master or a toxic player. Don't play with those people. The game master is going to be role-playing as antagonists, but he is a neutral party. That's why, in some cases, the game master is referred to as the referee. So thank you for watching this video. I hope it was entertaining and perhaps useful. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. Thank you so much again for watching my videos, and thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. Once again, thank you, and see you later.